We just came from our stream and now we're here. That's crazy. I feel like we were just doing this a moment ago. Welcome. We are members of the VRChat team. We'll introduce ourselves in a moment, but we're going to talk to you about how we cultivate the VRChat community. This is a panel by, surprise, surprise, real VRChat team devs, like real people. That's crazy.
I'm real.
You're real. You're real. So let's do some quick intros. I will try and make myself not yap that much. But my name's Tupper. I'm the head of community for VRChat. My focus when I'm working here is kind of the big picture stuff. I'm guiding the community overall strategy. I'm making sure our team is supported. And I'm also kind of providing a voice at higher level company discussions. So when we have the big table where people are coming up with strategies and discussions and decisions, that's my job. So yeah. As far as how I got into this role, I actually originally was the sole community manager for VRChat for a while. And before that, I was doing email support. I got hired during 2018 when a certain little red gremlin was running around in VRChat. We had all of a sudden 20,000 people when a month ago we had 1,000. Before that, I was doing data analysis for the US Navy. So hooray, kind of a weird change. But yeah, I really like, it's really hard to say I really like working here without it sounding kind of like a softball, but I do. This place is weird. It's great. Weird is not a bad word here. I love what I do. Yeah, I don't know how to tell you better. You go next.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Flair. I use they, them pronouns. I've been in community management since 2017. Wow. And I've been working at indie dev studios. I worked on the Elder Scrolls Online, and now I'm working here at VRChat, so I'm really happy to be here. What do I like to do? What do I do is mostly social media management. I also do events and promotions with community. So if you ever hop into the community leaders Discord or any of the community-led Discords, I'm usually there hanging out with people just to try and promote people. And something that I really liked doing last year was Summer Music Fest Jam. I'm hoping to do more jams this year. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Strasz.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Strasz. You might know me from the patch notes, or perhaps the developer update, or perhaps that guy on the stream that sometimes burps really loudly and embarrasses their coworkers. I also use they, them pronouns. Yeah, I have been on the community team, I think, for
3, 4
4 years? 3 years, 4 years, something like that. And it's been a great time. I also come from a slightly different background. I've had many different jobs over the years at VRChat and also outside of VRChat. Before coming here immediately, I worked in marketing and PR, but before that, I was an English professor. So I've kind of done a lot. But here, I specifically handle communications, which can mean a lot of things. So obviously, if you've seen dev updates, yada, 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 patch notes, if you've read the patch notes, you should read the patch notes. That's usually what I'm doing. Shout out Pi, who helps a lot with that. We also handle a lot of the feature releases. So when a new feature comes out, I try to figure out how to best communicate it to the community. And also, when journalists reach out to VRChat, I'm typically the one that fields those questions, as well as pitching journalists every so often when we feel like we really need to. Or if everything's burning down. I also do that.
Yeah.
That's fun, in theory.
Yeah. Crisis management is part of the job. Absolutely.
It is part of the job. Yeah,
and
I
think... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Oh, I was just going to say, before we move on, I think we got to address the elephant in the room. We're sorry, we're not wearing our furry avatars / don't have any. It's just Flair. I'm a robot. You're a dragon. You're closer than me, I guess. But I've been told that we kind of get we're okay. We're good.
I've told that I have
Token
the
robot.
pass. I think.
Token robot. Oh well. Either way, we got a bunch of different stuff to talk to you about today, different challenges that we've run into. But I think the first one is I think it's a very large topic, right? Like it's very hand wavy. It's large in both size and impact, but also in just kind of how I always think of it as like a gas cloud. It's very disparate. It's very wide. And that's just kind of the obstacles of running a community of this size. VRChat's huge, right? Like there's hundreds of thousands of people on or that visit VRChat at, I don't know. I can't give numbers, actually. I just realized I talked myself into a hole. We've hit concurrent numbers, I can tell you that, of 135,000 people. That is bigger. If we were a city, we'd be in the 95% percentile for city sizes worldwide. That's crazy. So along with that comes like toxicity, perception problems. Quite frankly, we have people using VRChat for all kinds of cool stuff, and for stuff that might cause some perception issues, might cause some wiggling, to use the appropriate term. But yeah. These are the hard questions. We like the hard questions. And we kind of want to start with recognizing that these are complex issues with no easy answers, no easy fixes. We're always working on them. Like, I know we're going to say that a lot, but it's true. These types of things are problems that are kind of going to be there if you're on the internet. It's just a fact of life on the internet. And when I talk about toxicity, I'm not just talking about bad actors. I'm also talking about like misunderstandings, the problems that come from platform scale, and the challenges of moderating user-generated content, because holy crap, that's rough. It's no one's gotten it correct yet. Nobody has ever gotten it correct yet. So we have to do a lot of stuff to try and make that better. But yeah, the perception problem, I think I'll leave it off for you guys to also talk about. But I think the way that VRChat is portrayed externally, like you guys have all like scrolled through Twitch. You've all seen like the troll videos or whatever, where someone goes around trying to get a rise out of people. But the thing is that everyone that's in virality right now is experiencing what VRChat actually is. And it's really hard for us to kind of transmit someone who's just kind of passing through VRChat, getting them to see a picture of that and showing them, hey, you can do this, like you can have this experience. So yeah, that's kind of, that is the eternal problem.
Oh, you're just passing it to, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a challenge. Like Tupper said, communicating what VRChat is probably the hardest part of the job and also the easiest part of the job, because all of us have probably had that moment on VRChat, or in VRChat rather, where you go from, I don't know what's going on here, I don't know what this is, whatever, blah, 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 and then like it clicks and you get it. And often that happens when you meet people or you find a community. But if you don't have that, if you don't have a community, finding your way in can be difficult. And obviously with certain messaging or certain perceptions of what VRChat is, it can make that more difficult. And often that kind of messaging, the kind of content that's out there also is like a beacon for similar people to come in. So when like you have content like virality, it makes total sense that everybody that comes here is usually part of, like inherently part of a community and wants to be pro-social and wants to hang out and probably isn't going to be that toxic, versus like someone that finds the 3,000,001 troll compilation on YouTube of like, I farted in someone's face and they didn't like that. Like, it's so like when people come in for that kind of stuff, you get a certain different perception. And this same reason why I'm always a big proponent of people streaming things. Basically stream the experiences that you want to help create. Great example of this actually is I can't remember his name now. The Japanese streamer. Sutanmi, yeah. So there was a Japanese streamer last summer that was streaming basically just basic VRChat, going in, hanging out, and like making friends.
The hero's journey.
Yeah, literally the hero's journey. And it caused a bunch of people like in Japan to then come into VRChat and do the exact same thing and like make friends and everything and just hang out. And so just through that like tiny little thing, we kind of watch this huge surge of people coming in wanting to use VRChat for the reasons that we would like people to use VRChat, as opposed to like, like I said before, not so great YouTube content.
Yeah.
Yep. And you were just reminding me that like a lot of our social media presence, especially if you're on Twitter, is super toxic right now. It totally depends on the platform you're on.
That's just Twitter.
It just happens to be Twitter in this case. Blue Sky is a lot more furry positive, more VRChat positive, but it depends on where you look. Even years ago, Twitter was pretty negative for a while. And like depending on what was popular, that was the perception that VRChat had, right? like whatever the streamers were doing is how people perceive VRChat, and it was really important for us to talk to streamers to see how they felt about VRChat, what they wanted to project about it, things like that.
Yeah. I think as time goes along, we kind of have to evolve those approaches and strategies. Like audiences evolve. I mean, a whole new social network popped up in Blue Sky, and VR chatters in particular kind of took to that in droves. I'm pretty sure like most of the music community, a lot of the furry community, all like especially the more hardware hacker people are all there as well. But yeah, I think also we should probably talk about what we think we're doing right. There's a lot of stuff that we do, and we do mess up sometimes, but the things that we do correctly, I believe wholeheartedly our team is pulling off and executing really well. In particular, we're really good at finding where communities are gathering and communicating in those spaces. This can be tough, especially with kind of the distributed nature of like Discord servers, and they're not indexable by search engines. Discord, if you're listening, please, God, index forums. But yeah, VRChat isn't monolithic, right? It's a huge collection of lots of different communities. If you think that you know the broad, like what a average VR chatter looks like, you don't. I don't even know. None of us know. And that's probably one of the most important lessons that we've learned over time. And our success has really come from recognizing and engaging with that diversity and being able to capitalize and work with people in the areas of that diverseness, I guess that's a word, in that quality of diversity and being able to meet people where they're at. So that's both at a strategic like decision level. So like we're gonna say let's take actions that meet this rule, and there's also the tactical version of it, which is like actually going and doing the thing. And we're on both ends. We've made the decision to meet people where they're at, and not just expect everyone to come through in official channels. So like listening tours, our leader Discord is a big one. We have streamer Discord. We have so many Discord servers for different things. In some cases, we do centralize people, but we also have other cases where we go out and actually just meet people where they're at. In particular, our great UXR team has like actually gone like boots on the ground with us several times, and that's always been really fruitful. Oh, and product people too.
Yeah, it's really important to go out and actually see these communities because there's so many different pockets of VRChat. It's kind of mind-boggling how many of them are out there. And something that we try to do, especially recently over the last year, is something called the creator showcases. So this is something where every month or so we try to feature at least one group or one person that's doing something really cool in VRChat. You've probably seen this. We featured Fins, Trans Academy. I don't think we've actually done Fraldi yet, but that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
We should.
We totally should. We did Parasol, it told a lot of different people, a lot of different amazing groups going on. And we try to feature them because we think they're doing great work and we want to show off that this is what VRChat can be for a lot of people, especially if you've never seen that corner of the world.
Mm-hmm. I think there's... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the things that's really interesting about trying to represent like what VRChat is fundamentally what VRChat is entirely different for basically everybody.
Oh, goodbye.
So everything's fine.
It's the suit.
For some people, it's just about yeeting yourself across the entire world.
Perfect.
But yeah, like there was recently a Vice article that was written for VTubers specifically. But the whole pool of that article was essentially, how do you stand out as a VTuber? And like, if you go on any platform and you see like what people do in VRChat, it's like this tiny little thin line. Whereas there's all these communities in VRChat that like you don't know about unless you're basically embedded here. And there's more growing. Like the communities that exist now aren't the ones that exist, 5 months ago, or the ones that will exist 5 months in the future. So, for example, like there is a community now dedicated to flying the drone in VRChat. But before that, there was other flight communities in VRChat. There's a lot of flight communities. There's some people that like dogfighting. There's some people that like putting on air shows in VRChat, which is unbelievably cool, but is something that you never hear about outside of if you are in those communities in VRChat. And it's not just about highlighting those communities and making other people see like, oh, they're really cool and stuff. But then it's also about going the other way and communicating with those communities. Because the way that we're going to communicate and that can best communicate with, like, for example, someone that just bought a Quest and put it on their head for the first time and has no idea what any of these things are, versus someone that's highly engaged and is spending, hundreds of hours in VRChat and attending VR raves and all that kind of stuff, right? It's an entirely different type of communication. In part of doing communications and from a community management perspective or any kind of PR perspective is being able to talk with many different voices, but having everyone understand the same message. And it's something that is genuinely really difficult to do, especially when you have a really diverse community. But it's also really rewarding. One of the things that I personally enjoy quite a bit about this is that when I'm putting messaging out there and I start to see it repeated back at me, this is actually a really weird thing of like when I will basically, through all of the work that I'll do, I'll try to be like, this is why we're doing X, Y, or Z. And then, a month later, I will go on, I'll be just browsing Reddit, just on my free time, not on work or anything, and I'll see someone like basically paraphrase what I said, but like in their own words, and be basically, projecting it from their chest. And that's always such a great feeling because it means, cool, I did it. I did my job. I connected with this person and I made them understand exactly what it was that I wanted them to understand. So that's also really good.
And you just like slammed straight into me. That was terrifying.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. I think there's actually been like a really good, super like pinpoint example of that with the leader Discord. We mentioned this earlier, but basically goodbye. While Strasz is recovering, the group leader Discord is a place where we brought together a bunch of people that are running like active groups, and we chose these groups based on a couple of different qualities at the time. When we were building the age verification system, we were like, we need people that are going to use this. So it's people that are running group publics, they're actively moderating it, and maybe they're already trying to do their own version of age verification. So we went out, we grabbed a bunch of people, and we did that through data analysis, through just feet on the ground, which often is kind of how this kind of work goes. And we brought them all into a central Discord. It started out with like 5 people, then 10, then 20, then 30. We beta tested with AVM with them, and we worked through them, got a lot of feedback. The original version of age verification. Acronyms get mixed up in my brain a lot, but the original version was very different, and then we had basically that feedback to work off of. So that kind of communication gave us the feedback that let us launch it. That Discord now has around 200 groups represented in it. We're preparing for some further launches of group-centric features and kind of doing some feature research there. But stuff like that is, that's why it's really important to be able to meet people where they're at. Or in the case where there is no central place, create it and then let people run it on their own. The wiki's another great example. I love talking about the wiki because we literally just like said, hey, who's good at making like wikis? Who's tolerant enough to deal with MediaWiki and all of its BS? And we had people pop up out of the woodwork, and we essentially handed them the keys. It's like, here's a MediaWiki instance, just go. And a week later, it was beautifully themed, full of content, all kinds of stuff in there. And it was fairly low touch, just kind of had some management there. So that's the kind of results that you can get from this type of targeted communication and collaboration in a lot of cases with the community. Our team is small, itsy bitsy. Like you literally are looking at the entire community team on VRChat right now. So we have to use resources when possible, when we can do it first party. And when those run out, because they will, we have to go out and work with people that are just as passionate as us, or in a lot of cases more passionate, who are willing to help us out to make, to spread the message of VRChat, to show people here's how you get into it, here's how you do it, here's how you get locked in. That's the goal, is that same vibe, that same understanding that all of you probably have at some point when you were playing VRChat. We want to spread that moment. But yeah, I think, oh good, we are right on time. I want to talk about some different stuff. In particular, that was what we do well. Here's some stuff that we could probably do better. In particular, I think we don't do super great at information communication. Like the actual body of the communication, we do great. Strasz does a great job, writes good words, good job. But the part that we struggle with is having channels to get that out to people. Do you think everyone uses Discord? No, they don't. Think everyone uses Twitter? Thank God. No, they don't. like that kind of information, like distribution can be quite hard to do if you don't have a first-hand, like first-party platform to do it on. It just so happens that we do. So some of the things that I would love for us to do, I think we've talked about this, is like a pop-up that appears when there's a new update. You just see that mug right there talking at you about like, here's what's new in the update. I don't know. I'm already getting some ideas even just talking about it now. But in short, I'd love to have more channels to kind of address those challenges in particular. Yeah. What do you guys think? What's your pick?
Ignore the sudden truck noises. There's like the background noise.
Sorry.
You're like on a race.
Turn on noise cancellation.
But yeah, going off of what Tupper said about having some sort of in-game notification, we know that most of you hear your news through VRChat, literally by going in VRChat and talking to each other, right? Like how many times has there been an update and you're like, what's different? And your friends has to tell you like, oh, this is what changed, and we walk you through it. Like, that's such a common VRChat experience. And we know that a lot of information is disseminated that way. We would love ways to actually reach VRChat players directly and be able to tell them like, hey, this is what's new, here's what's to expect, things like that. What do you think, Strasz?
Yeah, so for context, I think that I've taken that idea, and every meeting that I've gone into for the last 2 weeks, I've just walked in, and there's like been a problem. I'm like, you know what would solve this problem? I have an idea. Let's just put a giant pop-up when someone joins, and it's just me going, do this, and everyone will be like, cool, okay, we get it. There's a reason why Discord does what they do, where when there's a big update, you get like everything kind of boiled down. And why, like, if you've ever played an MMO, it will have a launcher, or there'll be some easy way to figure out like what just happened. And so that's definitely a challenge. And yeah, it's like Tupper said, it's difficult to communicate the like precise amounts of information to the community, because like things get lost, things get put into the telephone game. We often talk about like the VRChat telephone game quite a bit, where I will say something on the stream that's very concise, and then like 2 weeks later, I'll have someone repeat it back at me, and it's completely not what I said. And that's a challenge. That's not them making a mistake. That's me making a mistake. It's something that, we have to do better. We have to make sure that when we're putting something out there to the community, that we're effectively communicating it. And then kind of targeting back to the last question that we had, or topic, how to best do that is going to be entirely different based on every single community. And so there's different ways that we'll try new methods of getting information out there, some of which is, maybe we try it once and we go, that was okay. Or other times we go, okay, no, we have to constantly do that. That's how things like the text developer update kind of came to be, or how the reason why we do developer update videos, the reason why we do patch notes videos. It's the reason why, sometimes we have a streamer Discord and we sit streamers down and we'll say, hey, this feature is coming soon. Like, this is how it works, blah, 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 blah. And then that's great because those people can then go out to their communities, and when someone says, why doesn't X, Y, or Z work this way? They can say, oh, I know, I was told. And then they'll say whatever the correct thing is. And that's super helpful. But all of these things are a challenge. And kind of like Tupper also said before, part of being in community management is this process of just coming up with an idea and then like throwing it out the wall and seeing, okay, does this work? And you're going to throw a lot of ideas at the wall, and not all of them are going to work. But when something does, you kind of grab hold of it, and then you just iterate on that thing until it becomes kind of like a pillar of your communication strategy.
Yep. I think in particular, this also applies not just to first-party information, but you guys are in a lot of groups, right? Like, you're in places that run events, right? There's all this stuff going on that right now all you've really got is either a post system that's built into VRChat, or you've got, a Discord that you might join. This kind of like information being brought to the user, to inside the headset or on the screen, that could play just as well for community as well. So like that kind of stuff, we'd love to do that. I think communication in general is a challenge, just as someone pointed out in chat. Like, these are relatively easy from an engineering point of view, but what's not easy is getting resources, because we've got things to do. We've planned them out. We have the strategy that we've laid out at the beginning of whatever half, and fighting for those can be tough. But yeah, I think, let's see here. Okay. This section I wanted to talk about in particular about how this kind of approach can apply to your own community. So this is, I guess, an advice section. This is a how do I run a community kind of section. And actually what you're working on, what you mentioned earlier about iteration is really key here. First off, just do stuff. Like choose something to do, choose an event, just run with it. This is the point at which you can have wild ideas and just run forward with it. The easy ones are just like events, right? Like this doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to build your own virality. It's okay. I know that this is gorgeous and very high quality, but you don't have to do that. You could make a box. You could go to the optimized box and hold your event. But what's important is consistency, having the event, having somewhere that people can go, and most importantly, gathering data. And this doesn't mean like having Excel spreadsheets. Apologies for any sirens. Hopefully the cancellation's getting that. But you just need to know if you're being successful or not, right? Like if you notice, oh, I've got 10 people this time and they're interested, and I mention, hey, let's do a different event, and all of a sudden I got 30, you should roll with that. Talk to people, get information about it. Yeah, that kind of applies more to the events types of communities, but we have a lot of those, surprisingly. I always kind of thought people were just like, hey, I have a community of people that just hang out whenever. It's actually, only about half. A lot of places like run things and like have events, dog fights or tournaments in the case of like places like the Black Aces you mentioned earlier. Claire, you haven't talked for a while.
You're passing it to me.
You want me to talk?
Claire's got,
oh, God.
yeah,
we're looking at you.
I get nervous. Okay.
Nah, you can do it.
I was just thinking about the creator showcases, actually. Like, that was something that we wanted to try as of last year. I think it was actually a year and a half ago that we started doing it. And we started at first just by interviewing people we knew who were doing successful things or things that we thought we wanted to spotlight. And then from there, people started asking, like, hey, can I get a creator spotlight? Can I get a creator spotlight? And I was like, oh, this is actually something that people really enjoy, and it seems to be doing well. Yeah, and it was doing well on TikTok, and then we also did the Ask a Stranger about their favorite world, which did really well. And then from there, Elam started interviewing more strangers to see if we could get crazier and crazier worlds. And I think we did Tupper recently, actually. We did your 2 favorite worlds. Yeah, that just came out.
I like airplanes.
You like airplanes, exactly. And it's just nice for people to see that type of humanization, right? To see that VRChat has people like this in our game, or on our platform, I should say. There's like lots of different things to do on VRChat. Everyone has a different perspective on what they get on for and what they enjoy. So being able to showcase all those different experiences is really important. And it was a big trial and error to get to that point. For a certain period of time, we didn't know if the creator showcases were going to do well. So we just had to watch the analytics to see, like, okay, what do people enjoy about this? What do they not enjoy? I was unfortunately reading all the TikTok comments. Yes, I know, I sound like a man.
Don't do that. What?
It's okay. I've got a lot of comments about that.
Don't read the
comments. It's fine. You have to. Them. It's my job.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, that's your job.
But yeah. Strasz, your turn.
What do you think?
Okay. What do I think? I think a lot of things, unfortunately. No, but so I think a couple things. So I'm going to bounce around a bunch here. Because when you were talking about giving advice to other communities, as far as like running them or what to do with them, I think something that is really key, and also this relates pretty big to us, is clearly we get a lot of feedback, right? Clearly part of our job, part of our lives is just being inundated by feedback 24/7. It's, we try and have work-life balance, but inevitably when you also are, have some of your enjoyment, some of your weekend activities include the thing that you're working on, you're just going to come across this stuff all the time. And one of the things is like that can be super overwhelming, but in our case, and this is leading to my point, every time someone brings some feedback to me, it's an opportunity to do the thing that I think is the most important part of my job, which is making people feel like they belong here. So when someone gives me feedback, I have the opportunity to say, no, go home. I don't want to listen to you. I'm off the clock. Or I can basically say, like, tell me more, or just empathize a little bit. Fundamentally, that's really important. And if you're running a community, I'm not saying like take all this feedback in, but your goal should always be to make people feel like they belong there. This is ultimately, like, the only thing that separates successful communities and unsuccessful communities, and I'm going to shout out a few over the years that I've seen. One of the biggest communities in VRChat is Ancients of VR, who almost has become a meme on Reddit because anytime someone has a thread, what group should I go in to find like
How do I make
adults?
friends?
Yeah, people always say Ancients of VR, Ancients of VR.
You're not wrong.
I remember when that group was first starting, and the thing that they have done consistently better than most groups that I see that are in that same ballpark is they make people feel like they belong. When they have like interpersonal things or whatever it is, they listen to people, they try and figure things out, but fundamentally they always come back to that golden rule of trying to make as many people feel like they belong in this space as possible. When you see somewhere like Ferality, same sort of deal. It's all about making people feel like they have a place where they can go, and they have a place where it feels like they belong. Another one that I'll shout out is Shelter. If you're not familiar, Shelter is one of the biggest VR rave clubs in VRChat, and consistently I've seen them kind of do their thing alongside many other clubs that have been just as successful, not as successful, whatever. But one thing that they have consistently done, and it's one of the reasons why I think that they've managed to fill as many instances as they do every 2 weeks for the last 2 or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is at this point, is they constantly are trying to make people feel like this is a place for you. If someone comes in that Discord and is just like, I just got my VR headset, I don't know what to do, there will be somewhere in that or someone in that Discord that will be willing to help them out. Someone comes in there and says, this is my first day doing this thing, awesome, you're in. Someone says, this is my billionth event I've been to in VRChat, awesome, you're in. It doesn't matter. If you have respect for the space, everyone's going to be there, everyone's going to love you. And that's kind of something that's really important to foster when you're building a community. It's really, really tempting to build a community based on what a lot of you see on social media platforms, based on essentially on exclusion, on what we aren't. Build a community based on what you are. That is the single biggest thing that I can tell you, that if you're running a group, if you're running a community in VRChat, outside of VRChat, you always try and make a space where people feel like they belong there, that you're united by what makes, what things you have in common, where you don't, that is the biggest key. And that's something that obviously we try and do is part of the job, like I was saying, like whether it comes from feedback or whether it comes from anything else, the goal is to make everybody that comes to VRChat feel like this is a place for them. This is a place where you're welcome.
Yeah. I think you hit on something really important. That is a pattern that, I've been part of internet communities for like 30 years at this point. And the thing that I've seen successful, repeated over and over and over, is that there are very few cases of communities that succeed where they're exclusive and they focus on a small set of people. Any community will naturally just kind of become disparate over time. What's the word? Attrite? That's the other
attrition
thing.
Like
attrition, thank you. Yeah. Every group, every community on the internet has attrition. So if you cut off the input, if you're not inclusive, then it's gonna die, and it will eventually. But if you're inclusive and you bring people in, and you have people feel welcome as soon as they walk in the door, they make it feel like this could be a place that I can call home. This could be my third place. You're going to grow. You're going to succeed. It doesn't matter if you're, something as broad as, I don't know. We like playing D&D, which is actually, that is a pretty broad stroke at this point, to something as specific as like, we like this one particular character out of this one particular show. You're going to be successful if you're inclusive. And that really is the key. And all the communities that we've talked about today, from Ancients to Shelter to the Black Aces to all these different places to Ferality as well, they are inclusive. They bring people in, they make people feel like it's home, and that is the key. That is how you get people to stick around. And if this sounds familiar to kind of the approach that we're also taking with VRChat in general, it's because the rules are the same. It scales up. VRChat may be a meta community, a community of communities, but the rules are precisely the same. So if you see someone and you want them to stick around, if you're like, okay, well, this person seems pretty cool, I feel like that they should have an opportunity to have what I've had. Spend a little bit of extra time, welcome them into the community. When you were talking about Shelter specifically, I was thinking of a friend who came to VRChat for the first time and went to Shelter, I'm pretty sure for the first time, went so hard that they shattered their desk, told the Shelter Discord, And then the leader of shelter put up a coffee or whatever, like some kind of donation thing. Within 3 minutes, they had enough to pay for like 3 desks. So like that kind of welcome. Obviously, this is like not. Don't go breaking desks for everybody, but like that kind of thing. Yeah, I remember it too. That's the sign. Like that's the sign that you're doing it right. You don't have to pay someone for their desk to do it. You just have to make someone feel welcome, especially in a space as we've not so subtly hinted several times. The internet is kind of not super great right now for lots of different types of folks, and all you have to do is just be a little bit kind. That's it.
I want to. Speaking of that, I saw it has scrolled past, so unfortunately I can't call out your name, but I did see this question, and we're about to transition to Q&A.
Okay,
I think not that
perfect
long,
transition.
I did wanna call this one out. I saw someone say, "Where do you draw the line, though?" Because obviously there's people that can join your community, that won't be as tolerant. And there's the paradox of tolerance is like a thing. This is really simple. It seems really complicated. You can get in a Discord, you can argue about it for 13 hours, or you can just follow this simple rule. Do you want to bring people into your community that are going to fundamentally exclude other people from your community? And that is something that you basically can boil it down to. If you bring people into your community that are going to make people uncomfortable, or are going to make your place be less inclusive, then you basically have your answer, right? It's Pride Month, right? When I'm talking about be welcoming to people, if someone comes in and they start just like screaming slurs at everyone, I don't think it's your job to sit there and put your hands on your hips and go, "Oh, you, come on in." No, you kick that person out, because the reality is that there's a bunch of people in your community that are going to appreciate that action, and are also you're going to bring more people in. When a community is safe, that attracts more people, and also the energy that communities tend to exude is the kind of person that they tend to bring in. And so you just have to think that when you're building something.
Big shout out to Trans Academy. Yeah, don't work with assholes. Some of the most successful communities that I have seen could be described as authoritarian. Like there are rules. If you don't follow them, you're gone. Like you need to be strict in those cases. Trans Academy, I would not describe as that. Obviously they have more resources to be able to be a little bit more rehabilitory rather than throwing hammers around. But if you're just booting up and someone comes in and you're at like the 50 member mark and they're being a jerk, get rid of them. Don't look back. Do not be afraid to hit the button. You're not going to cause problems. But I think that's it for our topics here. We can do Q&A now.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh God, jump scare.
I come behind. Yeah, no worries.
Ooh.
Hi, and thank you all so much for your little presentation. We super appreciate it. I think the biggest lesson we could take away from is that the best way to create inclusivity is to just completely demolish your desk. I think that's the main takeaway I got from this, right?
Shatter your desk.
Shatter your desk, and people will give you money, and it'll be fine. Anyways, don't do that. But if you'd like to ask any questions to these lovely people, go to our Friday Discord channel in the events Q&A channels, and go to How Do We Cultivate the VR Chat Community panel by the VR Chat Community Team Q&A. But we have a lot of good questions coming in. I'm gonna start one that actually kind of bounces off of what you were just talking about. This one is from Toolbox. This is a bit of a hypothetical. When certain events cause some apocalyptic level of backlash in the community, how do you proceed to do damage control in a way that doesn't make people angrier?
Yeah. This one, I mean, fully admittedly, we've had this happen several times. Like, I love the hard questions, by the way, so don't be shy. We've had EAC is kind of the obvious answer. We've had other things like, for example, we've broken tools like Cyan Trigger recently, and there's some other stuff. Like some people don't like these particular changes, or they don't like when we do stuff that breaks their current use case, and it can cause, a lot of different people feel hurt. That is really the key point of it, and recognizing that people feel hurt is both a recognition of how much they value the space, which is important to realize, and second off is a signal that they are trying to tell you something. They want you to do something. They want you to signal that you have heard them, and also say that, I mean, you can just simply say, hey, we're trying to do better. We're changing this to try and do better. You can't change the past. I think that's one of the most important lessons to learn from here. And there are sometimes decisions that ultimately end up better. EAC is the perfect example. If you had asked me like 3 days after EAC launch, it's like, would you do this again? I would have groaned, please, I just want to sleep 2 more hours. But today, hell yes, absolutely. So sometimes you'll have stuff like that. You do have to roll with it, but empathy really is the best approach for it. Listen to people, understand their viewpoint, put yourself in their shoes, and then pass that back to the team.
That's like core community management right there, you know? Advocating for the player as well as being able to bring that feedback back to the team. That's really important. I was going to say being transparent is really important. I know sometimes it's kind of hard to see it that way, where it's like, oh, can I really tell them the truth about the decisions we made? Or, you know, do I have to say everything? And the most you can say is be as honest as you can. I think that's really important in a community manager or managing any kind of community, is just having that kind of trust level. Being able to be honest with your community is really important.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that one of the most important things you can do is just to be honest. You know, there's honesty doesn't by default mean that people are gonna like what you're saying. But it does mean that you'll often have some level of respect between you and the person that's saying it. And all, like just really casually, it's also the easiest. Trying to like, you know, sit there and do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. Like I worked in PR before. Even when I worked in PR, my advice was often the same. Just what's the truth? Just the closer, the closest you can come to that, the most transparent you can be is always going to be the best option. Even if it means temporary pain, you're going to gain something out of it.
Good question.
There you go. Thank you so much. Another question. I feel like this is a nice, a little bit of easier question, but also one that kind of flips. You've done a lot for us, but to flip the question a little bit, DJ Sylvian asks, what can the VRChat community do to help your team?
I really appreciate this question. I think I have a million ideas buzzing in my head, but I'm going to give you the kind of manager kind of idea, which it means more strategic, higher level, 10,000 feet view. First off, just kind of keep enjoying what you do. If you stop enjoying it, figure out why and then tell us. The fact that you are enthusiastic and as much of a fan to be able to offer something as valuable as your time already gives me a pretty good signal. But you can act as a lightning rod, a bit, not really a lightning rod, a weather station. That's a better analogy, where you can just let us know if something changes and you're like, this doesn't feel like VRChat. This doesn't feel like you guys did that. And let us know. But in the good times, when, you know, everything is great, please do what we gave advice on earlier. Be kind to people. And when I say be kind, I'm very specifically using the word kind. A lot of people say nice and kind. Nice is, I grew up in the south of the U.S., and nice is like the typical kind of nice that you get from people there. It's, oh, yeah, sweetheart, you know, that kind of thing. Where they're, sorry, you're basically faking it. I know, I've heard it. But kind is empathy. Kind is understanding. It's taking a second to shut your own thoughts up and understanding it from someone else's point of view, even if it stands diametrically opposed to you. If, of course, that kicks you right back out of your own brain, then there's probably something else going on. And, you know, it's probably that troll that we were talking about earlier. In that case, don't give them a moment of your time. But yeah, that's what I would ask.
I need to think about my answer. Do you have one, Strasz?
Yeah, you get a magic wand. What is it?
I do. So I feel really, really strongly about this. So much so that I wrote a long blog post, not on any VRChat related things. It was a personal blog post. If you go to my Blue Sky somewhere, wherever that is, then you can probably go through my history and find it. But the feedback for the you part of this equation is fundamentally, I want to hear your pain. Which sounds really messed up. But what it basically means is a lot of people, when they're giving feedback, they will give like, this doesn't work for me. And then they'll spend 10 paragraphs writing about their solution to it. This is a general piece of advice, if for not just for us, but if you're ever giving feedback to any game developer, engineer, anywhere, or anyone in general. It's important to focus on the thing that didn't work for you or that isn't working for you, not really your solution. Because the thing is the thing that isn't working for you, that's totally valid from where you're coming from. That's your experience with the product, and that's really valuable information for us. But your solution, and I'm going to be really blunt because Tupper was from the South, I'm from New Jersey. It's useless, right? When you give a solution, it's not that we don't like to see like how your brain's working and like the ideas. Sometimes they're really cool, but the thing is you don't know what everyone else's experiences are with that thing. You don't know the engineering problems, the the design issues, all of that stuff. You don't understand that, and that's okay. Because what is really valuable is that pain. It is the problem. So that is the thing that if you want to help me, like when you just say like, this is broken, I don't like this because I have to do X, Y, or Z, that's brilliant. That's so useful. I can take that back and I can make something happen with that. Also, I see in chat a lot of people shouting out NJ. I hope you're in the part of the NJ I'm in. Go Birds.
We knew we had to get one in.
Yeah, it had to get in there somewhere.
I think Strasz nailed it. I don't really have anything to add to that. Just be honest, be honest about what your problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. Another question. This one's actually been asked by a couple people, so ripping the Band-Aid off.
Let's go.
Anarka asks, how do you view other VRChat social experiences in your own view, like things like Resonite, Chill Out VR? How do you kind of like apply that to your own experiences as a VRChat team?
Oh boy, is this personal standpoint? I guess it is. That's how the question was worded. Okay. Let's go down the list. I'll start with Resonite because Resonite, I will admit, is my favorite of the bunch. Resonite like really speaks to my. This is like the third time I've outed myself on this. It speaks to my EVE Online brain. It's very like, the UI, and Frooks has admitted this, the UI isn't super great, but you can do so much crazy shit with it that it's just wonderful. And you can do it in collaboration. And that kind of stuff, I don't think we ever could or would want to do in VRChat. So I'm super glad that it exists. And I hope that they stick around for a very long time. I'm glad that they were able to become Resonite, I think is probably the best way to sum it up. I think the first VR experience I ever used at home after I unboxed my Rift CV1 with no controllers was Sightline, which is made by Fructius. It's a great demo. You should go check it out. But yeah, Resonite, I love. Chill Out VR, I haven't used all of that much. We have communicated with their developers a couple times just for like, earlier on, and they've always been nice. So, I've got pretty neutral to good opinions to them. I hope success for them. I don't know what others are there. I mean, there's like Horizon Worlds,
Basis?
which there's Basis. Yeah. Basis looks really interesting. Basis is more of a like platform upon which to build, social VR experiences. My open source software nerd brain is like really excited about that. I'm excited to see what comes out of that. And then Horizon Worlds, it's interesting watching the approaches that a larger company takes to development of this kind of thing. But I do get screamed at by very high-pitched shrill voices more often on that platform than any other one, even more than VRChat.
I'd like to double the shout on Basis. I also think Basis is really cool because I think one of the coolest, the most difficult things is for people to build the back end, to build their thing, whatever that thing is in virtual reality on. And so I think giving people that option is really cool. I also think, and this is not really an answer to that question, but it's kind of something that I just like to put out there all the time. I think a lot of people have this attitude that like we're in competition, and I guess technically like we're competitors, but like rising tide lifts all ships, baby. Like I want to see them succeed. And also often behind the scenes, if there's a piece of advice that I can give somebody that can help out, I'm more than willing to, especially from a community management point of view. One thing that you'll find amongst a lot of disciplines in like the general game development space is that there's a lot of sharing that actually goes on. There's not really a lot of bad blood between people that are making these things. It's mostly just people that really, really love what they do and are really passionate about it. And when you find other people like that, obviously you're going to want, nothing but love for them.
Yeah. Doesn't stop
Yeah.
people from coming up with crazy stories, like movie script stories about, rivalries. It's like, nah, none of that's really true. We're just kind of, we're
Fruit
chill.
stole my car.
Brook stole my yacht. Heard it
Oh
here
no,
first.
is that where it went?
Yeah, you can have it. It's fine.
You just have a second one on standby. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, everyone has 2 yachts. Come on.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question from Hayu, our world builder. I asked this question to Strasz at their panel at Euroferns a few years ago, so you actually might remember this one. If the answer has changed at all to all of you, what is the most unexpected community you found thriving within VRChat? P.S. The community is doing great.
Yay! Nice.
Shout out to
Yay.
the Reality of Hope screening on Sunday.
Yeah.
Please check that out. But
Yes.
anyways.
I remember talking to them randomly in like an instance like that and hearing that story kind of offhand. I was like, wait, a kidney? Excuse me? Like,
Yeah, you did that. Thank
yeah,
you.
it was, yeah, that was crazy. Let's see. I mean, give me a second to come up with an answer. Why don't you take it? Rescue me.
I don't know if mine is safe for work. I'm not sure.
Good start, baby. Let's
I
go.
don't
Great
know.
start.
I don't
Great
know.
start.
I think it might be, but I'll let Strasz go first, and then I'll think about it.
So first off, I just have to say, I am gonna bawl my eyes out when I see that documentary. I know I am. I actually just had one of my closest friends just had a kidney transplant in his 30s also. So like I'm gonna watch that and like it's gonna be like 5 minutes in, bawling my eyes out. So I am both looking forward to and not looking forward to that. As far as most unlikely community, I think so. Jet communities made sense, like car communities made sense in VRChat because we have Sims for them. But I think one of the things that will really, really like I just totally surprised is like the community of people in VRChat that will like 3D model their cars and then show up to like VR car shows.
Oh,
where they're like their real life
That's sick.
cars are modeled. That like speaks to me because I've been into cars my whole life. And like literally that's so cool to me. The passion there. I just love. So like the first time I actually went, there's a DJ event once where people had all their cars lined up and we're also like playing music too. And I was like, this is so cool. This brings me back to when I was, like redacted years ago when I was young and going to car meets a lot. Yeah, I think that's my most surprising community.
Oh. I'm going to hijack it, and I think I probably know your answer, but I'm actually going to invert it. I think people might be fishing for like the not safe for work communities, like kind of answer. I don't think that's a surprise at all. People have been ERPing over the internet since Usenet, since email. Like that's not a surprise, not even remotely. If I imagine myself in the shoes of like 2005 self, where my internet girlfriend from Canada, there's no way for us to hang out except via AOL Instant Messenger. It's like you could put on a virtual reality headset and hang out with her in what appears to be real life. Hell yeah, that rules. Like that's very cool. So I don't think that's actually a surprise. I think the one that's the most surprising is you mentioned flight communities. I think the flight community itself probably isn't surprising, but when Udon came out, my expectation was like, oh, people are going to make like Trouble in Terrorist Town. People are going to make like Prop Hunt. I did not expect people are going to make high fidelity, aerodynamically correct flight simulators. Not even remotely an expectation. And then people built tournaments and air shows off of it. If you haven't had time to go to like a Black Aces air show, if you even remotely care about airplanes, please do. They're great.
I guess I'll share my answer. So I was really surprised by the size community. That was something that I didn't even know was a thing until I came into VRChat, and there were people going to worlds where you could make yourselves bigger or smaller, and you could just interact with each other, non-sexually. They're just hanging out that way. And I was just surprised by how well that community is doing. Like, they host daily hangouts, and they just hang out there in a specific size world, and they just chill with each other, and they're doing really well. So that's one of the communities that caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
There you go. I think that's all the time we have, but seriously, thank you all so much for offering your time and your knowledge to everyone here. Is there anything they should check out about VRChat that's in the works or is new?
Let's see.
Perhaps?
We've got some, I mean, a lot of our focus right now is on Avatar Marketplace. We just put that out there. We're going to be iterating on it. So if you're really annoyed with our avatar menu changes, don't worry. We heard you loud and clear. We're working on it. I can't promise what the changes are, but, you know, we're doing something. As far as upcoming features, we've got something. It's a little low key to start, but it's a slow cook. We're boiling the frog a little bit with this next feature. It's gonna be fun. So keep an eye out for some interesting things. Please also take a look at the Pride Month event that we're doing. Very excited about that, collaborating with lots of cool communities. We're going to have a Pride Hub coming up. I think it was on the 11th, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And also, because I forgot to do it on our stream, thank you to everyone who supports VRChat. You are the reason that we can keep these servers on, why we can keep paying Mr. Bezos, and why we can keep paying all this stuff so that you can come and hang out with your full body tracking and go dancing or hang out with your friends or sit in front of the mayor and the black cat. I don't judge. We appreciate it. You make it possible for us to keep going.
I have one shout
You guys got anything?
I have one shout
Yeah,
out.
go ahead.
Yeah. Where's the camera? Camera 1? Camera 2? Camera 3? Where's the I need the camera on me right now. Where is it? Come on. Come on,
my
right there.
God, you're
Come on.
so demanding.
Come on. Where is
It's the
it?
joys
Where
of-
is it? Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Bring
You
it.
got
Bring
it.
it. We got it. All right. So this one's real simple. Do you like VRChat? Do you like it? Do you like it? First,
Maybe.
buy VRChat Plus. You already done that? Buy for a friend. Haven't done that? Watch the patch notes. Send it to a friend. Send it to someone that doesn't know what VRChat is. They'll have no context for anything. Just send it to them.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That's our advice.
You don't have anything? No shout outs? This is your chance. You're on the stage. Your center
I don't
stage.
know what to
literally.
shout
quick
out.
one.
I'm just excited for Pride. I'm really excited to showcase
hell
those
yeah.
communities. It was really important for me that we collaborated with the community to make sure that we were able to support as many people as we could. We were supporting Trans Lifeline, who's thinking of making a VR chat world. Maybe that's a spoiler. But it's things like that that I'm really excited about.
Cool. Sorry for running over.
You're okay. No worries. It's time to end. So again, thank you all so much. Check out the rest of our panels after this. We have some wonderful stuff tonight. The VRChat Dev Roundtable will actually be, I believe, Sunday or tomorrow. I don't remember.
PST.
But
It's Sunday.
check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for
Bye.
presenting.
Of course. Thank you.